Hey guys, what's going on? This is Ward here, and I'm going to be bringing you a Heart of the Swarm game from one of the players from Clarity. He's actually going to be the Red Protoss player spawning here in the bottom left of Newkirk City. Under the tag Flip Flop, he is cShew, and his opponent is the Blue Zerg in the lower right giX, of course, formerly of Team VT and Rain. However, those both having disbanded, currently teamless, but still very strong. And hold the phone. You know, I've been playing a lot of Heart of the Swarm, but I've been playing it with the music off, so I haven't actually heard any of the new songs. This is my first time hearing it, and this is actually super awesome. Okay, I'm sorry, I got a little bit distracted there, but I'll hope it doesn't happen again. If this song gets any better, we are fucked, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, we're going to be spawning here in Newkirk City. If you have not been watching a lot of Heart of the Swarm, and you are now, maybe this is your first game watching it, this is definitely a good time. We are very close to the end of the beta, so it means a lot of the current patch changes, of course, are probably going to stick. The meta's developing, there's a lot more people playing it regularly. And also, say you've been playing a lot of StarCraft, but you didn't get a Heart of the Swarm key. This particular map you should be relatively familiar with, because it did get added on to this current season in Wings of Liberty, as well as Aculon Flats, or however you pronounce that. So, hopefully this map isn't too much of a curveball for you. If you're not familiar with it, very basic. 2 spawn spots. You can't spawn on the top here or anything. And it's like the most symmetrical divided in half map you will ever see. So, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Easy third, easy fourth. You see here, protected by the collapsible rock tower and the debris. Blah, blah, blah. Pretty normal stuff here. We're going to see cShew here actually going with a gateway opening at the front. Pretty interesting. And a preemptive pylon block over at giX's natural. Now, it's been said before, said a million times. I'll say it just in case you haven't heard it. Gateway opening means you can get your tech faster and, of course, put a little bit of pressure on the Zerg. We see this gateway's actually rallied forward immediately. Now, giX here has laid down his third hatch because of that block in his natural. Of course, very common response as a Zerg. If you get pylon block, just throw it down in where your third base would be. And cShew's fully aware of it. And the interesting thing about Newkirk is, of course, this base is a little bit more exposed than thirds on other maps. You see it's, of course, facing directly to your opponent. There's not a lot of choke areas. I mean, like, this is like the biggest choke you could possibly still call a choke. It barely fits on the screen. So any early pressure is going to be actually pretty useful. And it looks like cShew's going to be going for just that. We have a Zealot being chrono boosted out. A second one on the way as well. And actually, this is before his Nexus, before his Forge. And giX is going to see it now with his Overlord. But the Zealot's almost all the way across the map now, and cShew's going to be able to lay down his Nexus behind us. Looks like he's getting ready to do that. Might want to go for a Forge, but he's going to be relying on his units. This is going to be interesting. This isn't something I see a lot. I mean, I've seen it before. It's not new to me, but we're going to see how this pressure works out. We have a few lings, and of course, one of the benefits of this early Zealot is you're going to be forcing these lings out. And because giX placed his expansion here, this is exactly why cShew has done this. It makes it more vulnerable. And it makes sense now that why he preemptively pylon blocked that. You don't see that a lot. It's because he had this in mind all along. Now we have 2 Zealots here, a third and fourth on the way. Actually, it's fourth and fifth, as the third one is already out. And giX is going to be forced to make a lot of Zerglings. It's very, very unlikely he'll be able to get a Spine Crawler down because these Zealots are on top of everything. And cShew might actually be able to kill the hatchery with this third Zealot coming in. Meanwhile, behind us, there's still no Nexus down for him, but he does just about have the minerals for it. Now the Zealots are coming in here, microing the wounded one back. The Queen going to come in here and try to help. There's quite a few Zerglings. And the Queen actually might be able to push this back. He's going to rejoin with the 4th Zealot. giX sees it's still on the way. Now, like, it looks very good for cShew here, and if he gets the hatchery, this is absolutely worth it. However, we got to keep in mind that just now this Nexus is being laid down. That is, you know, very much later than it would normally be after a Forge Fest expansion. So this pressure really does need to be worth it. He does have a Harvester lead, as of course he forced a lot of Zerglings out of giX, but that is not going to last too long. As Zerg are, if they're known for one thing, it is their ability to produce lots and lots of drones simultaneously. The third base for giX being laid down here. Now we have 4 Zealots, a couple of them pretty wounded, but of course the shields are regenning. Queen's doing a good job at keeping this back, but the longer cShew waits to put on this pressure, the more and more Zerglings and Queens that giX is going to have. And of course, he's got the defender's advantage because his units don't need to come from across the map. And it looks like the Zealot's going to try to poke in. The Zergling's going to scare them away. And with good micro, these Zerglings can probably be dealt with, but the Queen's helping is really going to tip it in the Zerg's favor. He's pulling them back. He's trying to get away from the Queens. Looks like he's getting a good start on most of these Zealots. And yeah, giX is going to clean this up. So, I mean, he forced quite a few lings out there. We take a look at the units lost tab, though. We see the Protoss is behind, and he didn't really kill enough Zerglings to make it quite worth it. Now, if he had gotten a Queen, gotten a couple drones, that'd be a different scenario, and or the Nexus, or rather the Hatchery, of course, but it's not the case. So giX defended that pretty well, even without a Spine Crawler. You know, against Pure Zealot with Pure Ling, he did a good job with those Queens, so he knocked that back behind the Shew now as a Forge Up, and he's going to be able to move into his normal tech. But the Zerg is starting to come ahead in Harvesters now, so that's 33 Harvesters against this delayed Nexus. Could be pretty detrimental to Shew's plan. giX now is just getting the Roach worn down. These are actually all at pretty standard times considering the pressure that giX was put under. Probably going to be throwing an Evo Chamber down soon. We see a Stargate for Shew. If we take a look at giX's vision, he actually does not see that. So, of course, we're in Heart of the Swarm here. That means he can be coming out with those Oracles, and those Oracles kill workers in the blink of an eye. And we still don't have an Evo for giX. So, I mean, the Oracles, they're pretty balsa woody. They're kind of like the Warp Prisms of old. You get enough Queens on them, they will go down pretty quickly. But the thing is, they are pretty darn fast, and they kill drones very quickly. So, I mean, if you don't react immediately, you're probably going to lose 10 drones before you have a chance to pull them away. So you got to be very, very careful. If you're not familiar with the Oracle, which he is making right now, and it's really just, it's not even like you would make something else other than the Oracle out of the Stargate. It's just a superior harassment unit. You're not going to be making pure Phoenix, really, at this point. Oracle can't attack air, but it's useful for so many reasons. It's useful for scouting, of course, because it's fast. It has Revelation. You can use it to detect and kill creep tumors with its Envision ability. It's very useful. So, anyway, if you're not familiar with the Oracle, I just want to point out, here's its attack damage. 25 versus light with a speed of 0.86. It's like a super marine, totally jacked the hell up. He's been drinking muscle milk. He's been taking his roids left and right, and he's stimmed up, ready to go. Now, it is based like Cloak, 25 initial energy, and then it drains energy while it's active. But if you get 2 Oracles, they are one-shotting workers at a rate of 0.86. That is scary stuff. So now, it looks like Shew is going to move in here with a single Oracle. And while it's doesn't have as much potential as 2 Oracles, it's still very dangerous. So you see how quickly it's killing the drones here. He's going to start racking up the worker kills. Spore Crawler goes down immediately, but he's actually able to focus that down with it, and it is out DPSing its ability to create. So he's probably going to force the cancel on that and then pull away the Oracle with 160 health. Can't really take too many Queen shots, and it's going to get knocked away now because the Queen has a pretty good rate of attack. 3 drone kills, and he's going to force out quite a few Spore Crawlers, as a matter of fact. So it's not too bad. And now we actually have a Phoenix coming out here. So he went for the single Oracle. He's going to be mixing in Phoenix here as well. And it's actually, Phoenix make a pretty strong part of the army. A lot of Zergs in Heart of the Swarm are going for Muta-based play because of course, that speed boost. But now we actually see that giX here is going for the Hydralisks, and you see that the speed upgrade for Hydras, which is called, let's see, Muscular Augments. Okay, it's the same as it was in Brood War. That is on the way as well. And Speed Hydras, very scary, very dangerous. And it looks like giX is getting a macro hatch, getting ready to flood with as many units as he can. Looks like the Mothership Core just now coming out for Shew a little bit later because he didn't need it for defense, of course. He was coming out with those Zealots early with the Oracle aggression. He wasn't too worried about a counterattack from the Zerg. But now he does scout the Hydralisks, and if you say a Hydralisk, then you can bet money on the fact that Hydralisk speed is coming up behind it. And it's going to be very hard to hold a 3rd base against Speed Hydras. Actually, looks like Shew's probe out here is going to get picked off. Not going to be able to lay down a Nexus first, though. giX picking that off pretty well. And the creep spread looking okay. Oracle coming out here to deny any further aggression on these rocks because, damn it loves those rocks. And we have the Hydra here. But unfortunately for Shew, one Phoenix does not kill a Hydra. And actually, that Phoenix is going to be picked off. Shew does not want to lose this Oracle, too. It's a heavy investment. Look at that. Oracle, 14 kills. Picked off all the Lings here. I guess it's not the biggest deal, but still pretty handy to guy to have flying around. And of course he does have the Revelation and Envision abilities, which respectively Envision detects and Revelation basically gives you vision of whatever area of effect you cast it on. It hits every unit, every building in it, and gives you vision for a period of time. How long? 60 seconds. Very cool. Oh, it doesn't affect structures anymore. Okay, that's one of the things they changed. Now, look at these Speed Hydras. giX is coming out here. He's got +1. Right now, Shew's army, if you take a look at the army supply, very much in favor of giX. He's got the Mothership Core, which can cast Photon Overcharge, but there is no Nexus to cast it on, and he's got 35 seconds before there will be. But it looks like giX is pulling back, adding in some Roaches behind this. Shew is getting some Colossi, of course. Doesn't matter that the Hydras are fast. Colossi still very good against them in combination with Force Fields. But giX's army here is looking very strong. We do have a 4th being taken where these rocks were, but he is pumping out a ton of units with this macro hatch, and he is coming in for the attack. 80 to 38 army supply. Photon Overcharge going to be incredibly important here, but even more important would be Colossus range. However, it is very far from being finished. Now, what does Shew see? If you take a look, he definitely sees the army is in position. giX went ahead, dropped a Changeling there. Now, he's backing away, and that's pretty good. He's definitely got the superior army count. But with these buildings here, easily force fieldable. Look at that little changeling residue. We need Billy Mays here to advertise a product to get rid of that. Not sure what it would be, though. Oh, looks like the answer is time. Now, this area is particularly force fieldable with these walls. Of course, the Hydras will chew it down pretty easily, but at the same time, the Colossi chew down the Hydras pretty easy. So I don't mind giX pulling back here. He's actually, it looks like he's going to be mixing in Vipers now. If we take a look there, we got a few Viper eggs on the way. Gotta love this ability. If we take a look at the Structures tab, which is pretty cool, we can see, you know, he's got the Hydrogen, he's got the Infestation Pit, and the Vipers, I believe, just require Hive Tech. I haven't played a lot of Zerg myself. That is why I'm trying to play more and more Heart of the Swarm, more and more casting, so I can get these damn tech trees down. But I'm going to go with, you need a Hive for a Viper, but not a Spire. As we see in the Structures tab, there is no Spire. Shew's third base is up and running. Harvester count 70 to 74. So these guys are in a pretty good economic position. Right now, giX is just massing up. He's adding some spellcasters to his army, foregoing the infestors, and he's actually going into Ultralisks, which are very scary in Heart of the Swarm. They have definitely been buffed, and they're not the paperweights they once were in ZVP. They are as scary as they look. Looks like Shew a little bit undersaturated on the gas there. Fourth base coming up for him. How are the upgrades for our players? Why don't we take a look? Sentry, you've got level 2 weapon upgrades, which doesn't mean a whole lot for you. And we got +2 about to finish here, as well as Adrenal Glands for giX. Doesn't have a lot of Zerglings mixed in with this army, but hey, Adrenal is Adrenal, and you're always going to want it. It is a very, very nice thing to have. Of course, when you lose the majority of your Roaches and Hydras, you're going to be remaxing with Lings, because you have a lot of Larva, but maybe not enough money to build 30, 40 Roaches. And of course, Lings are very good because Protoss tend to warp in Stalkers defensively. Now, giX is going to be coming in here. The Abduct picks up a Stalker, maybe a misclick there from giX, but he immediately gets a Colossus, and that is the money. Abduct there, pulling that right into the army. It gets picked off very quickly here, and he's going to grab 2, 3. Oh, the Colossi get picked off. Yes, the third one does go down, and that is a lot of DPS and area of effect damage that Shew no longer has. He casts the Photon Overcharge on the Nexus, but is it going to be enough? The Hydras can actually focus it down pretty quickly, but they don't really need to worry about the DPS of the Nexus. In fact, they don't look like they need to worry about much at all. This army's just going to plow through here. The might of the Vipers absolutely eating those Colossi in seconds as they got pulled into the army. And that does not leave Shew with a lot to defend. It looks like giX here is actually just going to win the game. A GG from Shew, and a quick game there. Not quite prepared for those Vipers. Dude, I was barely prepared for those Vipers, and I knew they were coming. Very, very, very cool play here from giX. Awesome to see the new units and see the Hydralisk in conjunction with the Vipers. Not something I've seen too much yet. Very cool. So, hope you guys enjoyed the game. I'll be having more and more games from Clarity players. I have quite a few replays from Shew, particularly, that I'll be casting over the next few days. So, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you want to see more Heart of the Swarm. As always, I'll see you at the next cast. Word up.